What's up, guys? Pittsburgh White Schwartz back again with another Rush rundown for you. This time we're going to talk about Revue Starlight and the English competitive metagame. This will be a quick, concise overview of Revue's strengths, weaknesses, and notable cards that you'll need to know and watch out for in order to effectively play into it, all in 10 minutes or less. While these videos aren't meant to be totally comprehensive, we've included a lot of information in this video about Revue Starlight, so feel free to pause if we're moving too fast. Alright, let's get into it. So Revue Starlight is a deck that is focused primarily on pushing Soul in order to win the game, as that's one of the few tools that it has in its limited arsenal, since we do not have the second set in English. Most, if not all, decks that you'll play into will be running some sort of on-reverse combo at level 1, so definitely be aware of and ready for that. Moving on to our first card here is the Cowarko finisher. This card is quite literally the star of Revue Starlight. This is the finisher that you'll want to watch out for, as most decks will be playing it. It's incredibly destructive and has the potential to push out a huge amount of damage by giving cancel burn to all of your opponents, all of the Revue players' other characters. The cost is somewhat restrictive, as the Kawarako has to ditch either a character with Futaba or Kawarako in name in order to get the effect off. But past that point, it has the ability to push a huge amount of damage, especially in conjunction with the level 3 Futaba pictured there on the slide as well. The Futaba has the ability, in addition, to pay 1, pitch 1, burn 1 on attack, which, if cancelled, can also pop off the burn 2 provided to it by the Kawarako finisher. On top of all of that, as well, the 2-1 Kawarako pictured there can change into the Kawarako level 3, allowing the Revue Starlight player to get their Kawarako out at an even earlier stage of the game. Some other cards to note are these 2 Futabas here on the next page. These Futabas both act the same way, where they get an additional huge amount of power and an extra soul, only while they're sitting in the middle lane of the stage. So this allows you, playing against Revue Starlight, affords you a little bit of counterplay. Since these can only be in the middle lane, you can either put your strongest wall up in the middle lane in order to try to block them off if you know their power thresholds, or simply get out of their way and let them overswing into you. Most Revue Starlight lists will run as many as they can afford of this level 0, since it is extremely powerful. It's a 4k 2 soul, but only run a few or none at all of the level 1, depending on what colors they're in and how hard they're going into yellow. The next card to talk about here is this level 2 Cowarko. This card is of concern to you if you're playing a deck that early plays off of a clock condition, like 8-Book ReZero, Love Live Sunshine, or decks like that where you will clock something and then immediately slam down your early plays, as this thing affords the Revue Starlight player the ability to pay 1 at the start of your main phase, send that card that you just clocked to your waiting room, and replace it with something else from the top of your deck. Revue can also try to snipe you out of colors with this effect, especially if you're playing a multicolored deck. If you clock a card in order to get some color so that you can play something during your turn and it's the only card of that color you have, they are able to get rid of that from you as well. On the next slide here, we have a number of level 3s, which act as a stand-in for all of the different other level 3 finisher combos in Revue Starlight. The similarity between all of them is that in order for their combo to go off, they have to be in the middle position of the Revue player's center stage. I believe all of these combos also need reversed, or also need reverses in order to go off, so that affords you, playing against Revue Starlight, a little bit of counterplay if you see some of these non-Cowarko finishers going into the Revue player's waiting room. You're able to simply not leave a reverse target, or hold a sack counter, or some sort of counterplay in order to completely stop the Revue player's game plan. Most of the time you will see the Cowarko finisher in Revue Starlight though. The next card that we have here is this Nana. She works in conjunction with those 3 cards on the last slide that we just talked about. She allows the Revue Starlight player to pull a character out of your waiting room, potentially allowing those finishers that we just talked about a chance to reverse, even if you leave an open lane. In addition, she also gives 2k power to the front row, further emphasizing the ability of those other finishers to provide a reverse. So the counterplay to this would be to either not leave a waiting room, or to hold some sort of sack counter to block off whatever the Revue player is trying to attack into in your middle position. Notable counters in Revue Starlight: majority of the time you'll see this 2-1 Nana counter. It's a pay 2 sack 1 anti-change. It sends the anti-changed character to the opponent's stock. So it does hard remove the character for the price of giving the opponent a stock. Revue Starlight also has access to a 2K counter. I believe those are the counters that you'll see most frequently. Other notable counters are pictured on the slide here as well. Notable bombs that you might run into in Revue. This Juna bomb is a bottom deck anti-change bomb. The Karen is a character that gets large against level 3s. So Revue has anti-change options in all 3 of their colors since there are no green cards in Revue. So be aware of what colors you're playing into and what options your opponent might be playing to deal with your early play characters. Common builds you might see in Revue Starlight. Majority of the time, 99% of the time in my experience, you'll see this 8-wind build with the Futaba at level 1 into the Cowarko at level 3. Although occasionally you'll see standby into Cowarko, or if your opponent is brewing Revue Starlight for something very off meta, you might be surprised by one of those other finishers that we talked about. So just be aware of the cards that you see flowing into your opponent's waiting room and prepare for what you see accordingly. So in conclusion, don't expect to be able to level lock Revue Starlight. They have a Ricky that literally every deck plays. If you're worried about your character being anti-changed, you should be most concerned about the Nana anti-change counter. Since most decks will be playing that 8-win build, they'll be primarily in yellow, and that anti-change counter fits right into their color alignment there. As I just said, their most popular build is 8-wind, and their most valuable card is obviously the finisher, the 3/2 Cowarko, that gives other characters cancel burn. The set is strong at providing or pushing out huge amounts of damage, especially with the Futabas that get an extra soul in the middle lane, allowing Revue Starlight to have a 2-soul character potentially in their middle lane for literally the entire game. Aside from that, unfortunately, Revue Starlight is a little bit weak and a little bit clunky at level 1, in addition to the fact that the cost for the Cowarko forces the Revue player to build their deck in a certain way to have enough Futabas and Cowarkos to discard for the effect that they're almost forced into playing the 8-wind build. As far as popularity goes, you'll see Revue Starlight occasionally at events, but I definitely wouldn't expect to see it every round. And that's just about it for Revue Starlight. If you liked this video, be sure to drop us a like or a comment, let us know how we did, it really helps us out. We'll be releasing more Rush Rundowns every Wednesday, every week, along with our usual deck techs every other Friday. Along with these links that we drop at the end of all of our videos, we will put some sample deck lists for Revue Starlight in the description if you'd like a little bit more in-depth example of what you can expect to see at a larger scale event. And with that, I think we're done. Pittsburgh White Schwartz signing off. We'll see you in the next video.